Sound mindful there on a Junga drum. I'm quite expert at it. Thanks to all of you for coming out. This is our email address for comments, correspondence, and feedback. Website is similar, utahkrishnas.com for more information. Everything is inspired by the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder and charge of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Maganati Marandasya Gahanasakya Chaksurumilitam Yena Tajmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupakramayam Didati Suaparadikam. Today our topic is not big enough. We all have dreams and goals. We do our best to stretch our faith and believe that one day, if we get the right breaks, if we meet the right people, we will see that dream come to pass. In our mind, that would be big. In our mind, that would be a great accomplishment. But here's our message. What's big to us is not necessarily all that big to Krishna, our God. He created millions of universes. He spoke worlds into existence. And God's dream for your life is frankly much bigger than your own. We think, well, if I could just pay my house off, that would be a dream come true. Krishna says, that's too small. I want you not only to pay off your house, but be in a financial position that you can help others to pay off their houses. Or we think if I could just get that promotion at work and be able to run my department. And Krishna says, that's too small. I want you to be the CEO of the whole company. Or if I could just overcome this illness, if I could just get back on my feet again, that would be so great. Krishna says, surprise, surprise, that's too small. You're not only going to get back on your feet, but you're going to run again. You're going to feel better than you ever felt. You're going to climb mountains. I just got a call from one of our volunteers, Caru. He says, is it okay, true, if I'm 5 minutes late to the program? I said, sure. What's the reason for being late? I just ran an 8-hour race with a rucksack on my back. It's called the Green Beret. And it took a little longer than I thought. So I said, yeah, you can be 5 minutes late. That's fine. But we think ordinary. Krishna thinks extraordinary. Whatever you're dreaming about, whatever it is you're believing for, Krishna, God is saying to you tonight, it's not enough. He's going to supersize it. The ancient wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God, which is a timeless spiritual classic, it offers a powerful assurance. Kontiya pradijanihi hame bhakti pranasiti. Krishna says to Arjuna, my devotee never perishes. Now think about the sheer weight of that statement made by the omnipotent Lord. It's not just a declaration of survival, it's a guarantee of ultimate triumph. The divine assures us that those who keep him first place by chanting his holy names and serving him will never perish. It means that whatever challenges arise, whatever obstacles appear to block the way, your journey as a devotee will ultimately lead in victory. It's not just that you're going to simply achieve what it was you set out to do. No, this is about accomplishing goals far beyond what you currently think or even dare to imagine. It's about tapping into a source of unlimited strength and support and grace that can elevate your aspirations and manifest results that you could have never conceived on your own. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When you align your will with the divine, when you cultivate unwavering devotion, what you do is you invite in an unlimited power to work on your behalf. What happens is your personal efforts become supercharged, guided by a force that knows no bounds. So let this resonate within you. Your dedication, your earnest pursuit is met with an extraordinary promise. With divine grace as your partner and ally, your achievements won't just meet your expectations, they will shatter them, revealing possibilities that you never imagined could have existed. Krishna did not create you to live a little life with little dreams, little goals, little passion, little influence, little temple. Krishna thinks big, he thinks abundance, he thinks expansive. He's telling his devotees, I'm bringing you into a wide land, a spacious land, flowing with milk and honey. And sure, you have to learn to be happy where you are, but the key is don't settle where you are. Why? Because Krishna, God, never performs his greatest victories in your past. They're always in your future. What Krishna has done in your life to date, the promotion, the good breaks, the favor, that in Krishna's mind was a small thing. He's saying you haven't yet even touched the surface of what he has in store for your future. It's going to open doors that you never dreamed would open, bring talent out of you that you didn't even know you had. You're going to see explosive blessings, blessings that thrust you to a new level, and what you now think is big, your current favors, that scholarship, the promotion, the contract, the book you wrote, the song you composed, one day you'll look back and realize that was a small thing, just a preview of coming attractions. Now, it's a perfect example of a devotee praying for something substantial, and yet Krishna delivering far more than what he could have ever hoped or imagined. This comes from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, and most of you know it's the story of Sudama Brahmana. He had been a very dear childhood friend of Krishna in the Gurukula. He was a poor Brahmin who lived a life of extreme austerity and poverty with his wife. They often went without food. His family was in constant distress due to hunger. And his wife, seeing this situation and knowing of Sudama's deep friendship with Krishna, urged him to visit Krishna. She reminded him that Krishna was now the opulent king of Dwarka city, and that if he went to see him, surely Krishna would give them something in charity. Sudama was a pure devotee. He had no desire for material opulence. His only motivation to visit Krishna was just to see his beloved childhood friend again, but to satisfy his wife, feeling that he couldn't go to Krishna empty-handed. He accepted from her a meager portion, a few handfuls of poha, puffed rice, tied in a torn cloth around his waist. Krishna went, Sudama went, Krishna received him gloriously, made sure that Sudama slept in Krishna's own bed. Thus he spent the night full of joy. Next morning, he started on the long walk back home without having asked Krishna for anything material. He was so absorbed in ecstasy of being with Krishna, he forgot what he'd come for. He was just happy to have had his eyes drink in the beauty of his friend. He thought to himself that Krishna himself, on his side, didn't volunteer to give him any wealth, even though his ribs were showing and there were holes in his dhoti, because Krishna, Sudama speculated, would have thought that Sudama would use it for materialistic purposes, and not giving it or offering it was a sign of Krishna's true affection for his friend. However, as Sudama approached his village, he didn't recognize it. His humble house was gone, and in its place there was this magnificent palace, glittering with jewels, surrounded by beautiful gardens. His own torn clothes magically transformed into opulent garments, and his starving wife he saw off in the distance was attired in a beautiful, expensive sari, radiating beauty and prosperity. She rushed out to greet him, her face full of smiles. Sudama was just blown away. He hadn't prayed for wealth, he hadn't prayed for food or palaces. He'd just gone to see his friend out of pure affection, according to the urges of his wife. But Krishna, understanding what? The unspoken desires of his devotee's heart, and recognizing how selfless he was, Krishna took it upon himself to bestow upon Sudama a level of abundance that far exceeded any material prosperity or comfort that he could have ever conceived. It is said that Sudama's palace was more opulent than that of Indra, the king of the heavenly planets. Now this story perfectly illustrates how Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, grants devotees benefits that are not only substantial, but unimaginably grand, often when they least expect it and they have not even explicitly asked for it, just because Krishna gleans from within their hearts the purity of their devotion. Sudama must have realized, in retrospect, that his thinking was way too small. So whatever you're believing for, it may be big in your mind, but remember, in God's mind, it's not so big. We shouldn't pray to Krishna, help me to pay my bills, help me to make it through this month. Krishna's saying to you tonight, that's too small. He wants to bring you into overflow, to have you as a lender and not a borrower. You got to stir up your faith. And the only way this is going to happen is if you let the seed of belief and faith take root. Otherwise, it's easy to think, this is not for me today, Caru. You don't know my situation. You don't know what I've been through, the disappointments, the dreams that I've had to put off. No, don't talk yourself out of this. The key is you don't have to figure it all out, how it's going to happen in advance. All you have to do is dig down deep and believe that God can do anything. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Just say, yes, Krishna, this is for me. Your plans for me are bigger than I could imagine. You have something amazing in my future, and so I'm going to take the limits off of you. Bhagavi and I, we came to Utah from 10 years serving in Los Angeles Temple with a clear and what I believe is a heartfelt aspiration to simply acquire and run a radio station. That was our specific goal. It was born from a desire to spread the message of Krishna consciousness, to connect and to serve a community. Now that was not a small thing. I believe that was a substantial dream, substantial undertaking in and of itself. A significant ambition that most people would consider quite grand. Envisioning the effort, we envisioned the financial commitment, the years and decades we'd have to spend to make it happen, the technical work required for that specific mission. However, Krishna, the super soul in the heart, and our ultimate well-wisher, he sees a broader canvas than we do. We weren't thinking small, but neither were we thinking big enough in the context of what divine grace can make happen. Our immediate desire for a radio station was akin to Sudama's wanting to bring Krishna a handful of puffed rice. It was a sincere wish to make an offering to Krishna. So our desire was in the shape of a tool, a radio station as a tool. But Krishna took that and transformed it into a platform for much more. This platform now not only serves as a local AM radio station broadcast outlet, but due to the internet, it makes itself heard all over the world. And this temple complex is a hub for cultural exchange, spiritual discourse, community engagement, architecture, art, dance, music, festivals, and worldwide teaching opportunities. This facility provides a voice and a gathering point that transcends just entertainment, that's more than just information. It fosters a deep connection to our source. It guides us towards our ultimate duty in life and brings us to a point of individual and collective ultimate well-being. So I think you'll agree with me that the impact was much greater than running a radio station. Now, in all of this, perhaps the greatest sin, the most miraculous sin, was the supersizing of ourselves. our own talents and abilities, the challenges and opportunities of this mission as it expanded according to Krishna's greater plan for life have pushed Bobby and I to develop skills, patience, resilience. After all, last week we got shot at after. It's a good example. And vision far beyond what we anticipated back when we simply hoped to run a radio station. We become managers, strategists, targets, fundraisers, public speakers, community leaders on a larger scale. All because the initial seed of our desire was cultivated by a divine, omnipotent hand who saw in us a greater potential. Essentially, we prayed for a vessel, we prayed for a rowboat, and Krishna gave us an ocean liner. We asked for a microphone, and he gave us a global broadcasting network. That's the beauty of how Krishna often works, taking our sincere, if limited, desires and transforming them into something truly mind-blowing, far beyond our most ambitious plans. Why? Krishna wants each and every one of you to be a victor in life, to reign in life. He put seeds of greatness on the inside. You're destined to leave your mark on your generation, and in order to do that, you have to enlarge your vision. Because what Krishna or God has planned for your life isn't little. It's not to get by. It's not just to endure, or to take the leftovers, not to be second class. God has a big life plan for you. He wants to bring you into a wide land, a place of abundance, somewhere you've never seen before. To that end, if you keep him first place, he's prepared to thrust you into a whole new level of your destiny. And the reason right now, listening to this, you may be feeling something igniting on the inside, feel a little stirring in your spirit, is that Krishna is speaking through me today to your destiny. And that stirring inside is your spirit bearing witness to the greatness that Krishna has placed on the inside. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is a verse from Queen Kunti. It illustrates how Krishna's glance alone, if you achieve even a tiny bit of Krishna's favor, it brings abundance for the benefit of all. So all we have to do is be connected to that divine favor. Kunti said, all these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits. The rivers are flowing. The hills are full of minerals and the ocean is full of wealth. And this is all due, she's speaking directly to Krishna, saying to Krishna, this is all due to your glancing upon them. So this verse indicates that all prosperity, all natural abundance in the world comes simply from the merciful glance of the Lord. And this quote assumes that not only will those who keep God first place, not only will their desires be met, not only will their welfare be protected and their lives filled with genuine prosperity, both materially and spiritually, but they will be privy to Krishna's direct intervention and his boundless grace. What are we saying? It is too small a thing for you to pray just to accomplish your own dreams, because there are God-sized dreams that you have not yet even thought about. So it's too small a thing for you to want to go, say, for instance, just as far as your parents. No, Krishna is a progressive God. He wants you to go further than anyone prior to you. He's already designed you to supersede previous generations. Now, don't coast along on autopilot thinking, oh, I'm doing good enough. Can I tell you, good enough is not your destiny. It's too small a thing for you just to get out of debt. Now, that's one part, certainly. But the next part is to be blessed with abundance so that you can then be a blessing to others. to take you from glory to glory to glory to glory. Don't get stuck in one glory only, because there's another glory coming. If you'll keep honoring Krishna, living with expectancy, there will be blessings chasing you down one after another after another. The right people will show up, doors will open for you that you never dreamed would open. Krishna will bring talent, abilities out of you that you didn't know you had. He'll take you from one glory to another glory to another glory to another glory. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Quick story here, Tyler Perry. He rose from truly humble beginnings, and he experienced God's unimaginable blessing in his life. He grew up in New Orleans, extreme poverty, extreme abuse as a child, grew up in a household with domestic violence. He endured significant trauma. His childhood was full of struggle, instability, even periods when his whole family lived on the streets. His solace, he dealt with all of this by writing obsessively. He wrote a play called I Know I've Been Changed. His desire initially was to produce, direct, and act in this play. He raised money, he washed dishes, he drove taxis in order to fund it himself, often living in his car, missing meals, selling tickets himself, and performing to empty or near empty houses. His hope at that point was just to break even, to simply have his message of hope and faith heard by anyone. Initially, he just wanted to stage one play. However, after years of struggle, his play, I Know I've Been Changed, finally caught fire, became a sleeper hit. Not through a calculated marketing blitz, just word of mouth, and through genuine resilience and persistence on his part. That success allowed him not only to pay his bills, but it exploded, leading to a string of immensely popular stage plays that toured nationally. That's not all. Now, this was a direct result of the power and faith of his message, born from his own spiritual journey and devotion. His story is not a story of shrewd business acumen. His story is a story of unwavering faith and devotion to his God, who he credits for his success, and seeing his work as a direct offering to his Lord. Now, the supersizing of his desire reached him in the form of a 330-acre complex, which was not only a place just to make movies, but an independent ecosystem for content creation, providing jobs and opportunities on an epic scale. This is from a man who was once homeless and lived in his car, now owns a vast, influential media empire, a testimony to a trajectory that defies conventional expectation. And it's all because, in his own words, because of his faith, because of his message of forgiveness and family values, which resonated deeply with millions of people, particularly in the Black community. He always speaks publicly and frequently about his faith as the bedrock of his success, saying that his blessings are a direct consequence of devotion and trust in God, rather than his own strategic brilliance alone. And when we think, oh, Krishna, thank you that I've accomplished my dreams, Krishna says back to you, I appreciate your thanks, but I'm not finished with you. It's too small a thing for you to say where you are. I've got bigger things out there through the windshield. In our mind, it could have been huge. We just got that promotion. We just opened our second temple in Salt Lake City. You just met the person of your dreams, wrote your first book. Krishna did more than you could have asked or even thought. But the whole time, Krishna's up there thinking, you haven't seen anything yet. I'm glad you're happy, but that's a small thing. What am I saying? Wherever you are, Krishna loves you too much to get you stuck right there. Going to keep pushing you, stretching you, even at times making you uncomfortable to get you to the fullness of your destiny. You feel blessed. You feel like you've reached a certain level, but in Krishna's mind, that level is too small for you to stay there. Whatever you're dreaming about, Krishna's going to supersize it, do more than his devotees could ever think or ask. So here's the real question, and we'll finish up with this. Are you ready? Are you in agreement? There is about, for those who have kept God first place, to be a downpour of God's favor, an abundance of rain, like a flood meant to trust you where you could not go on your own. You have royalty in your veins, you have greatness on the inside, you have the favor of Almighty God. The forces that are for you are greater than those that are against you. Now, our encouragement is do like Sudama. Do like Queen Kunti, do like Vai and I, keep smiling, keep chanting, keep being your best, and you're not only going to see these explosive blessings where you go from a thatched hut to a palace, from living in your car, owning a 330-acre film studio, from running one rural radio station to having a global impact, have a big vision, make room in your thinking for Krishna to do something new in your life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One thing I've learned is you cannot outdream God. God thinks big, he thinks overflow, he thinks more than enough. Whatever you're dreaming about, you need to get ready. You need to take the limits off of God. You may not see a way, but I'll tell you, Krishna has a way. Scripture talks about how God will give you houses you didn't have to build, reap from vineyards you didn't have to plant. Krishna knows how to fill your hands, fill your arms, fill your buckets, fill your wheelbarrows, fill your pickups, fill your 18-wheelers, overflowing with blessings. Now, don't go around praying little prayers. Krishna wants to bring you totally out. He's not thinking addition, he's thinking multiplication. If you'll keep honoring God, putting him first place, and chanting his holy names on a regular daily basis, you're going to come to explosive blessings. Krishna is bringing you into a wide land, an expansive place of abundance in this life. Next life is going to take you back to home, back to God. If any of that resonated with you, you're invited to raise your arms and say together, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. If you've ever been to the Color Festival, it goes for 8 hours. I'm the MC. I don't like any dead time. And one thing that kind of bothers me a little bit about this point in your ceremony is everybody's kind of wandering around and Pratari and this and that and waiting for this video. So go ahead and please do get ready. You can chant and get ready. But in the few intervals when we have like 60 or 120 seconds of silence, I'm going to play this song, which is actually inspired by the topic that we just discussed. And the lyrics are also going to come onto the screen here.
Yo, check it, fam. Listen close to the start. Vai and I with aspiration heart. To Utah's plains, our journey we brought. A radio station, the prize that we sought. A concrete vision, a mission defined. Spread a message, connect humankind. A substantial task, a mountain to scale. A broadcast beneath the sun.
Come on up to the front. Join us.